Welcome to the Edgy Entrepreneur Podcast.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about step 2 in your self-mastery journey. If you're not visualizing that journey and where you want to go, you're never going to get there. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Edgy Entrepreneur Podcast, where we believe that if you are not working on your self-mastery, you are leaving 80% of your business potential on the table. We are your hosts. I'm Daniel Tribby, alongside
Coach Oriana Guevara.
All right, Oriana, what do we got today for our listeners?
Yeah, today we are in the second part of our series on self-mastery, understanding self-mastery, and leveraging self-mastery for your betterment in life and business. So we're talking about where you see yourself and creating a vision.
Awesome. And for those of the new listeners that we have this week, let's do a quick little recap on what we talked about last episode so people understand. So the step 1 portion of your self-mastery is recognizing where you are now. Right? So what is it about your life that you don't love or you do love? And are you satisfied at that point that you're in right now? And if you're not, then you have to make that decision that you're going to make changes.
Yes, we talked about how to conduct a thorough assessment of like who you are, what opportunities do you have the opportunity to step into, where you're at, what are your past experiences, like you said, what do you love, what did you hate, and why, meaning what's your motivation behind wanting to create a change in your life.
Right. So at a certain point, you're looking at yourself saying, how do I unfuck myself? Right. And that's step
essentially
1, right? So in our step 2 of that, we've got our step 1, we've got our recognition, and then we're going to move into the step 2, which is now creating that forward vision, right? That outlook upon how we're going to not potentially make that change, but if the next 12 months were going to be the best year of my life, what does that look like?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I think it's a super important question to answer, but I think just in general, the process of creating a vision is really important, mainly for 2 reasons. Number 1, it helps you to identify the gap, what I call the gap between you and you, right? The gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. If you're ever going to be able to close that gap, you need to be able to identify, 1, that there is a gap to begin with, right? Like how many people don't even have an understanding that a gap exists.
Yeah.
So understanding that there is a gap, right? I'm not where I want to be. And then getting to the place where you have a visualization of where you want to go helps you to understand what's in the gap, right? So once you identify that there is a gap, now identify what's in the gap, meaning what do I need to learn? How much money do I need to earn? What do I need? Like, who do I need to support me to bring my vision into reality? And a lot of other questions that we're going to get into details about. So it helps you to identify the gap. The other reason that I think creating a vision is super important is because you got to have something to walk towards. You got to have something that's actually calling you in. Sure. You know, and so when you don't have a vision for your life or for your lifestyle, for your career, what you want to build for yourself and where you want to get and reasons why you want to get there, again, those are details that we're going to talk about, but then you have nothing calling you forth. And so you're moving in a direction towards essentially nothing, which is super fucking exciting, right?
Right.
Yeah. No. Said no one ever. Right?
I like moving towards nothing.
Right.
Like what's
right? Like I liken it to getting in your car, you knowing that you have a destination, but not knowing what the destination is, not having, not putting any address in your GPS, and then you're just sitting in the car doing what? Running idle. This is where you see people. Well, we see people as coaches because we're in the realm where we help people get out of this place of stuckness where you're essentially just drifting through life, just picking up any opportunity that comes around and sounds good, sounds cool, I guess I will. If that person is doing it, maybe it'll work for me. You're drifting, right? And drifting through life is no way to actually arrive at a place.
At a destination.
Right? That's like worthy of your fucking potential rather than like, just like, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess I'm here.
Right. And everybody, we hear this all the time, and I know it sounds super cliche, which for those of you who were on our Clubhouse talk yesterday, we talked about what a cliche is. And a cliche is nothing more than a truth that's now been disregarded, right? As just something fun to poke at, right? But we have one life to live, and that life typically doesn't start until you make the decision to live it. So most of you are living a life that's not your own.
Oh,
right?
100%.
It's a life that you did
in
not...
an identity that's not your own.
Exactly. And until you make that decision, right, to make the change and actually visualize that change, you're going to be stuck in idle, like you said. And I work with so many business owners that just are driving the Ferrari at 90 miles an hour and have no GPS. They have no direction. They have no fucking clue where it is they want to go. They just know they want to get there fast.
Yeah.
And the truth of that matter is you have to be able to visualize what it is that you want and why you want those things, right? And write them down. There's a Harvard study out there that talks about you are 90% more likely to achieve those goals and those dreams and those desires if you write them the fuck down. And people just think to themselves, oh, well, I want to do this. And then they don't actually do it, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have any gumption or any real idea of where they're going to go.
It's the high performer versus the high achiever, right? It's nice to achieve and like go for a high goal, and you want to make that high jump and all of that. But if there's, if it's just for the sake of doing it, that's just achievement, right? But when we're talking about sustainable, long-term, high performance, you cannot operate at that level of sustainable, long-term high performance if you don't have a vision for your life and career. And if you don't have reasons that are identified for why you want to get there, and where there is. Like, what the fuck is there?
Yeah. The difference for me between high achiever and high performer is that high achievers are always going to be left feeling lackluster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you said
the goalpost always moves.
Right. So you said I'll be happy when type of situation. And I'll be happy when leaves you one of two ways. I get it, and then I go, it's not as great as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Or two, I don't get it because my expectation was so high, and now I feel like I'm not good enough.
Right.
Right.
Failure sets in.
So if you're going to be a high performer, you have to be able to sit back, look at your life, and say, this is where I am now. And then you have to actually write down if the next year is going to be the best year. If we're recording February of 2021. So if February of 2022, if you're going to define the last 12 months as the best year of your life, how are you going to define that? And you need to write those things down. So what would be some things we might include in that are not just business related, but are self-related?
Yeah, self-related. Man, what types of relationships exist in your life a year from now? In what ways are those relationships supporting you? I'm a relationship person. So I have people outline everything about the relationships that they want to have in their life, right? Like if they're single, do you want to be in a long-term healthy relationship in a year from now? Okay. Then there's a gap between you and you, right? You're not in that right now. You don't have that. What do you need to be able to get that in your life within a year, right? What do you want to feel like in that relationship? What do you want to be able to contribute to that relationship? How do you want to show up? Who are you, right? Like what's the persona and the identity of the man or the woman that you're going to bring into that relationship? And you notice that at no point in time have I yet spoken about the other person, right? This figment of your imagination that you want to be in a relationship with is essentially like not even worth discussing until we get through a thorough conversation about who you need to be to attract that man or woman person into your life.
When I say what's going to be the best year of your life, people are going to tell me all the things that they don't want based upon their prior experience, right? So I can sit back and say, well, I don't want to work for this person. I don't want to be in a relationship with this kind of person. I don't want
any more of what I've had.
And when you focus on that, because where your focus goes is what will actually grow. That's where your intention is going to grow. So if you're focused on all the shit you don't want, you're going to have a hard time not attracting that. So if you are saying, okay, when I ask you the question, well, what is it that you do want? I get that puzzled look 90% of the time. People are like, well, I don't fucking know. I don't know, what do I want?
It's quite sad, actually, that people are so disconnected from not only what they want, but from being able to feel confident in asking for what they want, or what they feel like they, just deserve, right? Like everybody deserves to have healthy relationships, but it also takes intention and effort to create them, to attract them, and to keep them, right? It's not just about like having a rotating door of people in relationships in your life. That's not fulfilling either. Right. What are you going to do and who do you got to be to actually get healthy people to stay in your life? And I'm not just talking about intimate partners or romantic relationships, right? We're talking about every kind of relationship, healthy friendships. I can't tell you how many people I talk to, especially men, who say, I don't have anybody that I could talk to about this in my friend circle.
Yeah, it's a great point, because once you write down, well, let me give our listeners this little ism for the moment. And the story I heard was from a whitewater rafting guide, right? And he was saying, I noticed that when we got in the water or on the river or wherever we were, and I pointed to, let's not hit that rock, let's not run into that fallen tree, that people would focus on that problem, and that's where they would head. Versus if I say, let's go this way, and I point that direction, then our boat was very, very likely to go in that direction of positivity. And so when you line out all these things that you want for your life, stop looking at the things you don't want and start looking at the things you do want, you're going to start seeing the people around you are probably things that you don't want anymore. But we have such a hard time letting that shit go because they've become a comfort zone for us.
Totally. Yeah. You build your life under for the most part, a false identity. People have been telling you your entire life who you are and how you are as a result of that. You have social norms and culture dictating all of these things about you that, as a child, you end up coming to believe that that's who you really are and what you're about. And then at some point in time in your life, you have to go through a process, right? I mean, this is essentially, you don't have to do this. I mean, you could live in a false identity your entire life. But if you would like more joy and fulfillment in your life experience.
Who wants that shit? I want to be miserable.
If you'd like that, right? It's then what's going to happen at some point in time, you'll have some experience that'll probably call you into the process of self-work. Right? And what we refer to as self-mastery.
Yeah, but it's easier for you to change than it is for me to change, Oriana.
Totally.
I want the world around me to change. I don't want to have to change myself.
Don't we all, right? If only we could, we'd have the power to get everybody around us to behave the way that we needed them and wanted them to in order to meet our needs.
Isn't that the way people approach their shit, though? Isn't the way people approach? Like, if you would give me this, then I would be happier.
Right.
Rather than, well, if I give this to myself, then I would be happier, and then I could be happy with you too, because my cup is full.
Right. So that's part of the visualization process, right? I mean, most people wouldn't even engage in a visualization for their life unless they were like in some level of depth in their personal self-mastery and their self-work. And that's what compels people to create a vision for their life, for their business, maybe even for your relationship. If you're married or you're part of a couple, you could have a joint vision for your relationship. And that serves as an instrument to support your ability to actually grow together through life rather than growing apart, which is what happens to the majority of couples, right? What happens to the majority of individuals who don't have a life vision, right? They end up somewhere else than where they would like to be. So they're making major career changes later on in life, or what's more likely to happen is they've already built a life and lifestyle and now most likely have a family built around that life and lifestyle that they despise. And that is truly sad, because for that person, it's very hard to walk away from that situation.
And then you start using that as an excuse. Like,
Correct.
Well, I can't because I have this. I can't because I have this family. I wish I could, but I can't. And we talk a lot about flipping fear around and how do we look at fear in a different manner, right? So I can look at, well, I have all this shit now, and then I can be a 75, 80-year-old person who says, well, I wish I had, but I didn't because, right?
So sad.
Versus, being like, okay, I'm in the now. Like, let me create something now. Your children will learn more from watching you than they ever will in any school or educational platform, right? And if your example to them is that you gave up your life to raise them, what do you think they're going to do with their future? They're going to feel the same way. I have a 9-year-old son, and I am blessed to have him. But my day does not revolve around him. My day revolves around me. And if I choose to spend time with him, which I do and I love doing, then that's what I choose to do. But if I want to go play beach volleyball, which I love to do, I'm going to do that. If I want to go visit a brewery because I'm a home brewer, I'm going to go do that. And he's going to learn that I'm living my life for me and not for anybody else. And when he's a nearly 40-year-old adult, he should be doing the same shit. Mm-hmm. And if you are sitting at home thinking, well, when my kids are out of school, then I'll do my thing. Or when I get out of this bad relationship, then I'll be able to do my thing. You're always going to find an excuse because you're not visualizing a better life. You're not writing it down to say, this is what I want for me. You're still doing everything that you want to do for them or for somebody else or for your shitty boss or for a bad relationship, or even if it's for a good relationship. You could have a great relationship and still not be living you're you, right?
Yeah.
You're not going
still
from you to
sacrificing
you.
yourself.
There's that gap between that one life you're living that you haven't chosen to live yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think for most people, and probably especially women, we're taught in a lot of ways culturally and socially that self-sacrifice is the way to go. And I know that men are in that realm as well, right? It's all about providing, and at the same time,
we self-sacrifice for work.
Yeah, you self-sacrifice for work, which means you miss out on family experiences and seeing your children grow up, so it's still a position of self-sacrifice for both individuals, just in a different way, right? So I want to make sure that that's super fucking clear, that it's not one gender versus the other. We're each having this experience, but part of that is coming from the place where people were never taught that it's okay to dream about the possibilities for your life, right? Like we
when
grow
you wish
up
upon a star.
A message, right? It's we're taught it's like, oh, you're really good at this, and so you heard that in high school, or you're not good at this. Right. And you let that be the thing that guide your path. Right. That one teacher or professor that told you, like, you'll never do this, or you can never do that, or, whatever got into you. One point in time, you had a bad presentation.
Look at me now, fucker.
Right. Or you had a bad presentation like freshman year in college. And now you just decided ever since then you're a bad speaker, and you've never wanted to pursue your dream of speaking because you think you're a bad speaker, rather than just like getting the tools and the training and work with a coach to become a better speaker.
Yeah, because school has programmed us to think that failing is bad, right? I'm graded on pass, fail, A, B, C, D, and F, right? I'm graded on that. So if I got an F, right, then I failed at something, right? But if I got an A, then I'm really, really good. And so people don't realize that when you fail at something, there's an opportunity to do something different.
Right.
There's an opportunity to take a different path, to learn something different. We were fortunate enough to have a teacher on our Clubhouse yesterday when we were talking about this, and she was saying that I will celebrate a student who goes from a 0 to a 40 because that is an improvement. That's a confidence builder. And that was one of the big things that we talked about, was confidence and instilling confidence. You don't get confidence from doing everything the right way every single time. You get confidence from fucking it up and then figuring out what the next step is, and then transcending and moving above that resistance or that roadblock that you feel. Right.
But we create such a negative feeling around the so-called failure, which is really just the experience doesn't match your expectation. That's all it actually is, right? Like, let's just get down to the facts of what happened. There's my expectation didn't meet, like what I actually wanted to happen, right? What actually happened didn't meet my expectation. That's just a factual statement. And then there's the fucked up story I'm going to tell myself about the experience of my actual reality not matching my expectation, right? And that fucked up story can be any number of different limiting beliefs.
Exactly.
Right? It typically is. Yeah. So what do you think are the common mindset limitations, or like mistakes, barriers, things that, that when that shit bubbles up, what have you seen as a coach that it is for people, and that they use that as like reasons or excuses to not continue moving forward towards a vision, or to just quit on whatever it is they want?
They dig back into the goodie bag, right? They go back into the bag of shit that they've been toting over their shoulder, from relationship to relationship, from job to job, whatever it may be. And there's something that could happen that has zero to do with your past experiences. You could have, like, let's say you were working on something big and you paid some money towards it, and something happened and it fell through. And the fall through could have been from a technical problem that had nothing to do with you, but because it failed, you reach back into the bag of shit you've been toting and you turn that into, oh, well, I'm not good enough and life sucks and this always happens to me. Like, no, the fuck it doesn't. It was that situation. That situation was a problem. And now what you've done is take a problem that's happened and turned it into this whole emotional roller coaster of how life is bad for you and the world is stacked against you, and if something bad is going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Why do we do that fucking shit?
Yeah.
Why do we do that?
Because our mind was designed to create, and we create negative shit really, really well, and then we tell ourselves that those creations are the truth. I mean, this is why the entire premise of our podcast is that your business is the biggest driver towards your personal growth, because whatever kind of shit is inside of you that you have not worked on,
it's going to come out.
Let me tell you, it will come out in the building of your business. And especially if you are in a purpose-driven business, that is going to come to the surface, and you need to be ready to receive it. You need to work on what those things could be as much as possible. And then you have to be ready for the fact that even as much as you work on it, things are still going to happen. They're going to trigger you. And when that trigger happens, all of that old stuff that you're like, where did this come from? I thought I worked on this already. It's going to come right back up in your creation, and it's going to go, I should have done this shit myself. I'm better off alone, right? I've had those many times. Many times.
Didn't you have one this week?
I did have one this week that you were kind enough to support me through.
Yeah, but it's not uncommon. We all go through it as business owners. We all go through that. So having that personalized vision for yourself of who you want to become, right? Who are you? Like you said, fill that gap from you to you. Here's where I am now. This is what I'm visualizing for myself as an individual. Right? What will I won't accept for myself moving forward, right? But then also you have to think about, and we talked about earlier, is everybody talks about what they don't want for their life. So now you have to talk about what you do want.
Creating it.
Yeah. And you have to talk about what you do want for your professional life.
Oh, yeah.
What is that burning desire inside of you? Don't sit back and go, well, I don't want to work for this type of manager. I don't want to work in this type of system. I don't want to do this. What do you want to work under? How do you want to operate day to day? Do you want to work 75 hours a week and live that lonely entrepreneurial life? Do you want to work 40 hours a week and be comfortable with a paycheck? If you do, that's fine. But write down what that looks like for you. What is that vision for your day? What time do you get up in the morning? Are you exercising? Are you working on your mindset? Are you taking care of your kids and then going to work? Are you coming home? Are you making dinner? What does that visualization look like? Are you finally going to honor the fire that burns inside of you and start that job or that profession or that career or that company that you always wanted to start? Or are you going to keep suppressing that fire, snuffing it out, and keep living the day-to-day, pissed off at the world because it's not changing for you?
I feel like people need a minute to process that one.
I would agree.
Are you going to honor the fire?
Yeah, honor the fire that burns inside of you. I'm trying to drink my tea. Give me a minute.
Dang.
At the end of your days, you're standing in front of your maker, and I don't care what God, religion, statue or universal being you believe in. It does not matter. But if you were standing in front of your creator and they were to ask you, what have you done with the gifts that I bestowed upon you? What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
Yeah. Are you going to say, this is what I did? This is what I created. I wrote that book. I impacted these hundreds or thousands of people. I changed one person's life for the better. I helped one person or a group of people, rehab from addiction. Are you going to say any of those things? Are you going to describe how you brought your gifts into reality and use them for the betterment of humanity? Or are you going to let those gifts end up in the graveyard?
And to all our listeners out here, I want you guys to all understand it. You were put here for an abundant life.
Amen.
Abundance, 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 abundance. You are not put here to live a mediocre life. And if you for 1 second are not happy when you wake up every day, it's because you're not honoring, there's the word I'm looking for. Words are hard. Honoring the fire that burns deep inside of you. You're not honoring it. You're not fueling it. You are just pacifying yourself.
So what about those folks that are listening and they're going, yeah, but you don't understand, right? I hear a lot this, not everybody refers to it using this phrase, but this is what it's called. So some people will know what this means. Some probably won't. Maybe it's their first time hearing it, but this idea of imposter syndrome, that little thought that pops up in your head and goes, well, who am I though? Like, who am I to do that? Who am I to create that? Who would listen to me anyway? Who would even care, right? And what we're trying to tell you is that you came here for a specific purpose. Personally, I believe that everybody's purpose is the same, which is to contribute to the well-being and the betterment of your fellow man and humanity, right? So if we're all here for that same purpose, but we all do it in a different way. So if who are you not, right? Who are you not to do something for the betterment and contribution to humanity, to society, to the world, to children, to people who are suffering? Who are you to not contribute to the betterment of that?
Yeah, and I hate to tell all of you this, but the way you've always done it is where innovation goes to die, and that's where you will too. right? The way you've always done things. You have to make a conscious decision to visualize how to do things differently.
Yeah.
You have to. And I believe wholeheartedly in what you said, that we're put here for a purpose, for a reason. And I would say 90-something% of the people listening to this are not doing that thing. And they will come up with a, yeah, but, oh God, can you hear my eyes roll through this microphone? Because everybody has buts. Everybody has moments where they create excuses, and that's what they are.
Well, I mean, let's just face it. Our society doesn't raise kids and families and individuals to live your best life and to be who you are. I mean, you're not even allowed to step into your own true identity for the most part, much less your life purpose, right?
What do you call them? Sheeple?
I do call them sheeple. I'm not even going to fucking lie. Right? But the purpose is supporting people who are still in that lost place to find purpose, because we all have purpose. Nobody is here by mistake. It's an incredibly exciting time to be alive right now. And even just the idea or the concept that you are here for no reason, right? That out of 1 billion sperm and 1 egg, you were the one that was chosen, right? Like, Jesus. Yeah, that's a total mistake. Come on. Honestly, give me a fucking break. Get out of your ego and get into your heart and in your body and in the place where you can get into a clear understanding. And I'll tell you what my coach told me: people are suffering because you're still in your ego and you're not willing to show up for them.
Ooh, I'd love that goes similar to like being a giver and a receiver.
Yeah. Well, you can't show up for other people if you're not showing up for yourself.
Well, but at the end of the day too, right? People are resistant to receiving, right? So it's what people don't understand is that whole, it's better to give than to receive, that whole horseshit we were brought up on.
Yeah.
The end part of that, it's better to give than to receive when you can, right? When you can. And you don't have to give gifts or money. You can give time, right? But people are so resistant to the receiving part because we've heard this, it's better to give than to receive. But it feels so good to give a gift to somebody, right? Like you feel great when you give somebody something, right? So who the fuck are you to rob me of the same feeling by not receiving my gift in a well-mannered way?
I agree that. I agree,
right?
100%.
So you have a gift to give somebody. And I hear the yeah buts. Yeah, but I was put here to be a mom, and that's what I'm going to do. Oh, dear Lord. So then when your kids are growing up and living their lives, then what are you here for?
I hope that, from this conversation, our listeners get a sense of drive towards discovery, right? It's we talk about it in passionate ways because both of us have been through, any range and number of like difficult all the way through traumatic life experiences that got us to the place where we're at today, where we stand with such firm certainty and conviction about our life purpose and about where we are and what we're doing, why we're doing it, and for whom we're in service to, all of that. We're not saying that you're going to get there tomorrow, right? This for both of us. Neither one of us took 24 hours to get to this place or made that leap after listening to a podcast, right? So, for me, it's been many years in the making. For Daniel, I'm sure it has been as well. But if you get anything out of this overnight success,
I'm overnight, baby.
I bet.
I just woke up this morning. I was like, I'm going to kill this, and that's what I did. Here I am.
If there's more relatable. If there's anything you get out of this conversation, honestly, I really, really hope that it's opening your heart and your mind to the opportunity to receive the gifts that are within yourself and to consider dreaming. Just dream, just imagine like you did when you were a kid about what you could do in the world to add value using your existing gifts, strengths, dreams.
Yeah, think like a child. And some people listening, and I've heard this done before, like, well, you can do that because you're this. And I always think, is that true? Or is it, can I do this because I made the choice to do these things?
Yeah, man, at some point in time, you just have to fucking decide.
Yeah, I mean, think about, like, I use Stephen King all the time. And when we talk about time blocking, right, this is a total different episode, but I want to use it as an example of what people think in their own minds. Say, time blocking is important. You need to create certain time blocks during your day to dedicate to certain things. And so I talk about Stephen King and how he time blocked 4 hours every day to do nothing but write, even if he didn't have anything to write. He was in that time block, and that's where he was. And now he's one of the best well-known authors. And people always say, well, yeah, but he can do that because he's Stephen King. And I always say, well, or is he Stephen King because he did that? Right? So for our visualization process, I want all of you to visualize. Again, I'm going to say this a million times. If the next 12 months is the best year of your life, what does it look like? Write it all down. Everything from your personal growth, where you want to live, who you want to be with, what kind of parent you want to be, and then write down, what does your professional life look like? How much money are you making? Write all of these things down.
With no limitation.
Yes, and put them in a place where you can see them every single day, right? I have some clients that use like the little like the paint sticks, the chalk paint sticks, and I write on their bathroom mirror, right? Certain things.
Yeah.
And you need to have a vision of your life and how you want it to be. You will be 90% more likely. And some of you will be like, oh yeah, I'll write it down. It'll go to a dusty notebook in your nightstand, and you'll look at it 10 years from now and go, oh shit, yeah, I remember this, right? Put it down where you can look at it every single day and be super specific. Do you want to lose 10 pounds? Do you want to gain 10 pounds? Do you want to have a better relationship? And what does that look like? Do you want to move to a new job? Do you want to start that business? And if you do start that business, what does that look like? How long are you going to stay in your current job before you decide to bail? How much money do you need to make before you move? So get really, really specific with yourself. Don't just write down, going to get divorced, going to get married, going to find a new boyfriend, going to get a new job. Don't do that shit. Get super specific with where it is that you want to go. Get yourself a GPS.
Yeah. So I'll add to that by saying, step one in your visualization process is writing everything down in a very, very specific way. Step two in that process is letting yourself feel the feelings and the emotions associated with having those things, doing those things, being that person. You must let yourself feel the feelings. You must feel the emotions. So that means that you're going to have to answer questions like, what is it going to feel like to be loved by the person that I want to manifest right into my life? What is it going to feel like to be able to make money at the level that supports the lifestyle that you see in your visualization, right? And to be able to not only support that lifestyle, but to support your family within that unit, and to be able to make meaningful contributions financially to causes that you care about, right? What is that? What would that feel like for you? What would that mean in your world? And feel those feelings. Like if you really want to accelerate manifestation in your life, and I'm not talking about some woo-woo shit here, people, that you just like, oh, it's gonna come to you and just show up. First off, yeah, in the sense that you're going to attract to yourself the cooperative components that you need in order to bring your visualization into reality. But this is really more about creating a concrete, it might not feel that way, but a concrete roadmap that you are designing with intention, with conscientiousness, by design, customized for you. You're feeling the feelings associated with that. And then finally, you are reprogramming your brain through repetition. That is the only way to reprogram the human brain. Repetition. If you look at the highest performers in the world, not highest achievers, highest performers in the world. Look at Olympic athletes. Look at the highest performing business people in the world. They use visualization is on their top 5 list of performance habits. It's visualization and it's repetition, right? So they'll tell you, look at your values, look at your goals, look at your life vision every single night before you go to bed, every single morning when you wake up, right? Post it all over the place in different places. When you want something, they'll tell you about the affirmations, right? They're doing these, they're not high performers just by default who happen to do these high performance habits. They are high performers because they engage consistently in the high performance habits to grow themselves, right? And this is the thing is, you can too. You can too, because even if you took on one of these high performance habits, it could actually be a total game changer for you and change your life. Just creating a life vision, letting yourself feel it, and then letting yourself actually create, like go through the habit of repeating that visualization in your mental eye, if you will. Just that is a game changer for you, because you're going to start to attract to yourself the opportunities that you need to bring that vision into life.
Yeah, and I heard one word that you said was commit.
Yeah.
Commit to it. Don't just write it down and be like, okay, exercise done. Write it down, feel the feelings, put it someplace where you can see it, and commit to it. Commit to yourself. Commit to being sold on yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Be sold on you. Right? You're either selling or being sold to. Great Grant Cardone-ism. But if you're not sold on yourself, nobody else will be either. People will find your fake shit all over the place. If you really want those things, you really feel those feelings, commit to them.
Absolutely agree. Give yourself everything that you'd want from the outside world.
Absolutely, because if you project it, you will attract it. Facts. So let's talk about aha moments here.
Yeah.
So Oriana, give us one, because I know there's a bunch in this whole process. But what's one aha moment for you in this step 2 of self-mastery? What's one aha moment that you had when you were visualizing where you wanted to go, who you wanted to be? What was the one big aha moment for you?
Yeah, man. So I've actually always struggled with visualizing my life past like a certain short-term period of time. So I think some aha moments have been, one, the vision is always evolving, and you just got to let it evolve. Some things will stick, some things are going to change, and you just got to let it evolve, as you grow, and as you get more aligned with your values and, the way that you're going. Your vision's going to evolve, and that's totally fine. I think the other thing that is going to be a big aha moment for most people is that chances are pretty high you're never going to actually get into your vision, right? Especially not if you're like creating it right. If you're doing it right, you are creating the most extravagant vision for your life and your business and your career that you could possibly come up with at any given stage of your life. Chances are you're not going to get there. But you know what? It's not about getting there. It's about the fucking journey of getting there. And if I can have fun, and if I can just like kill it along the journey towards the most extravagant vision for my life, where I have everything that I know that I'm worthy of and that I desire and that I want, and I have the love and I have the friendships and I have the business of my dreams, like, can I kill it in every step moving towards that? That sounds like a pretty damn good life to me.
I would say so. And I think for me in aha moment land is realizing that humans are horrible estimators of time. Horrible estimators of time. I can tell you how big that building is, or I can tell you, the size of an animal and make that relatable. I can do that. But when I estimate time, I'm usually way the fuck off, way off. And that's okay though.
How long it takes you to complete things, you mean?
Yeah. And this is something that a lot of you need to pay attention to. Because what happens is you write these things down and you feel really good about them. And then one of the things we have to talk about is how to break these things down into tangible, accomplishments on a regular basis, right? Once we write these down, then what, right?
Yeah, we can do that in another episode.
Which we're gonna move into that as well. We're not gonna leave you hanging, but it's one of those where if we're not writing them down and then not putting together an adequate timeline, then again, we feel frustrated. And I realized that I said to myself, okay, I'm giving myself 60 days. I'm going to get this done. And at the end of that 60 days, it's not done. And I go, fuck. And I realized that, while the 60 days was great and I didn't get it done, but what I did accomplish was so much more than had I not written it down and said, I'm going to push towards this. Right? And so one of the tools that I use and that a lot of you can use is a board with sticky notes on it that you can kind of move yourself through a process. I talked about this yesterday a little bit, was having 3 sections on your board, on your quote unquote vision board or your process board, where you have a list of things that you want to complete in a certain timeline. So let's say that timeline is 4 weeks from today. So you're going to put a date on there and you're going to list all those things in your log of shit to get done. in those next 4 weeks. And then as you're moving through them, you'll take your sticky note and move it from the log to it's in process, right? Write down all your notes on the sticky board, write down who you need to talk to, who you need to collaborate with, how many podcast episodes you need to record by the end of that day, whatever it may be. And then when it's done, and only when it's done, can you move it to the third column, which is completed. So you're going to move from your backlog to in process to completed, right? And give yourself timelines to actually move through processes, because a lot of you just say, all right, well, in 12 months I'll have the best year of my life, all these things are going to happen, but you actually have to tangibilize, if that's a word, your actions and put them in a place where you continue to visualize them. And we'll teach you guys how to do that in a follow-up episode.
Yeah there's a whiteboard strategy, and then there's some software strategies that could help you too. Yeah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot, tactics and strategy is what, 10%?
Yeah.
We can talk about that all day. That's not using them matters, but the game changer is right here in your head and in your heart.
That's it. So that's why at Edgy Entrepreneur, we believe, yet again, that if you are not working on your self-mastery, you're leaving 80% of your business potential on the fucking table. Don't do that shit to yourself. Work on your mindset. And if you guys are loving this episode, and we appreciate you listening, we would love for you to subscribe to the channel. You can also share it if anybody you know needs to hear it. Mm-hmm. We do put these out on a regular basis, and so we would appreciate you guys continuing to follow us and subscribe to us. Also, if you would like to ask any questions, or if you have any recommendations or topics you'd like to hear about, you can contact us at edgyentrepreneur.podcast.com. Feel free to send us an email. Let us know what you liked, what you hated, and any topics that you'd like us to talk about.
Yeah, we'd love to receive your ratings and your reviews. We do read all of them. And of course, it helps us to continue to spread our message of supporting entrepreneurs, business owners, and executives to live your best life and be your best self while you're doing that. So yeah, please go ahead and join us. We also have other opportunities to engage with us on social media and in other places, and we want to have you join us in our community. We host a free Clubhouse talk also every week, where you can actually talk to us about these and other topics. And we engage in our community on our Clubhouse page every week, Tuesdays at 2:30. We have conversations just like this one, and you would have the opportunity to actually speak with us on Clubhouse. So
Clubhouse every Tuesday, 2:30 Eastern time. We are on there. So absolutely. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Hopefully this step 2 in your mastery process has been helpful and rewarding for you. It has been for us. And we look forward to bringing you guys more knowledge and more edgy entrepreneurial shit in the coming episodes.
See you soon, everybody.
Take care, guys.